Welcome, I'm Angelica.
And I'm Gaia.
Today we are speaking to Lucie, founder of TikTok sensation Hair Syrup.
Hair Syrup is an all-natural hair care brand that landed a spot on Dragon's Den and is one of TikTok's top 3 hair care merchants. Hi, Lucie.
Hi, guys.
Thank you so much for coming today. Where did Hair Syrup start?
It started completely by accident. I don't think people actually believe me when I say I did not mean to start a hair care brand. And it basically all started because years and years ago when I was a teenager, I fried my hair off with bleach. So I thought, okay, I'm going to go on a little bit of a hair care journey. And so I did. And I did the usual, went to a salon and got loads of all of the masks and the stuff that they say is going to help your hair. And then I went to the high street shops and spent a small fortune on all of these different things. So shampoos, conditioners, hair masks, serums. And I used these products for a while and they just didn't really do anything, to be honest, sort of long term. The hair care market wasn't really great in 2018, 2019. It's obviously amazing now, but back then it just wasn't really so much of a thing. So what I was really sort of looking for was something to change the actual health and the longevity, the condition of my hair, you know, long term.
Right.
And this is basically when I found out about natural ingredients and the benefits they can have on your hair. So I went down a bit of a rabbit hole and
As you do,
literally. I did the whole, you know, I read about egg yolk and how that was really good for your hair. So
I did not know that.
Yeah. So I read all about this. Mashed avocado masks and all of that stuff. The main, if you actually look at hair products, especially kind of lower end ones, they advertise them 9 times out of 10 based off a natural ingredient. So they will advertise it as being a rose shampoo or a banana shampoo or a watermelon shampoo or something. But obviously when you look at the ingredients list, they don't have any banana. No, they don't have any actual watermelon in them. It's just a fragrance oil. But I was like, what is it that is so appealing about it? And anyway, so I started experimenting with all of this different stuff. And then I started using a lot of natural oils, so things like argan oil, coconut oil, and then just like mixing stuff together really, like a little mad scientist. I found that what worked really, really well with my hair out of everything was oils. So I had all of these little oil concoctions and I used some on my scalp, some on my lengths and ends, and they were the only thing that actually made any difference to my hair and scalp long term. Summer came around of 2020 and I decided, because I had nothing better to do with my life, I decided to download TikTok. One of the main things on my algorithm, probably because my phone had been listening to me, was hair care. So I had so many videos on my algorithm, it was flooded. Hair care transformation, glow up my hair with me, lockdown hair care routine, how I'm growing out my hair in lockdown, hair growth tips. Anyway, and I thought, oh, this is right up my street. I could make a video about this because I've got a hair transformation story. So I made this video and it spoke about what my hair used to look like before, what it looks like now, and basically everything in between that I'd done to get it from A to B. And I made this video, I think I had 3 followers at the time, and if that, and then I posted it and thought, oh, this is fun. And in that video I'd spoken quite extensively about these natural oils, natural ingredients that I'd been using, and I'd actually even shown in one of these videos, I'd given people like a simplified version of here's how you could create your own. Not a good move when you're starting a business. But then I posted it, whatever, and then a day or so later, I went on my phone and had 600,000 views on the video.
What?
That's the crazy thing about TikTok. You can become viral like that.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
And it would never happen on other socials.
Yeah, it's a real tool.
Yes, 600,000 views. And I was like, oh my gosh, what is happening?
Insane.
The main focus of the comment section was the oil masks that I'd been using. They said, oh my gosh, that looks so good. My hair would need that. I would love that. My hair would love that. How can I get some? Can I buy some off you? Can you send me some?
And you were like, this is it.
No.
No?
No. Absolutely not.
That's very genuine. We love that.
I thought it was really weird that people were asking me
Zero interest.
No.
So you look at the comment sections, you're like, this is really strange.
Yeah.
Then what happened?
Months and months later, I was still getting the occasional comment, but I just thought it was this, 15 seconds of fame sort of thing.
Right.
And that was it. I thought so little of it. I actually deleted my TikTok account that had that video on it. Yeah, because it was really distracting. It was probably 4 months later, if not longer. And I was in my room and I had a message on, I think it was Facebook or some sort of social media account. Someone had hunted me down from that video, which had now been deleted. And she was like, you're that girl who made that video on TikTok.
Oh my God.
I've seen it. I'm begging you. My hair's falling out. I've got this. I've got that. I used this home bleach during lockdown. What is your PayPal? I'll give you anything. Please, can I have a bottle of that hair oil that you've been speaking about? I think it's what I need to get my hair back. And I was like, wow, someone has actually... It was like, I don't even know what to compare it to, because I always get people say to me, how did you think of the idea? And I'm just saying, I did not think. It
happened naturally.
It happened naturally. And then I resisted it for so long, and it's actually, I don't know if I am a real entrepreneur, because really most people should have had that light bulb moment and thought, oh, this is it. But I didn't. I just was getting on with my life.
Do you think it was fear? Was
No,
part of it?
It was just, whoever thinks they're going to start a business selling hair oils?
Yeah.
So I was with this guy at the time, and when I said about the, message, I said, oh my God, someone's actually found me. And he just completely flippantly said, oh, well, imagine if you actually did sell it. I said, what? No, I can't sell it. And he said, well, why not? People have loads of small businesses.
Yeah.
Why couldn't you do it? And I said, oh, sell hair oils, really? And then I was like, are you even allowed to do that? And I said, oh yeah, well, whatever anyway, like, that's so silly, can you imagine? Haha. Brushed it off. And then I just obsessed over it then. It was like the seed had been planted, and I just obsessed over it for probably about a month. And I thought about it every day, and I could not stop. I was doodling things about it. And then I came up with the name Hair Syrup, and I thought, I could make my branding yellow. No idea what I was doing. And I think I Googled something like as simple as how to sell hair oils or something. And then I realised that there was, a lot of hurdles, compliancy, this, that and the other that you had to jump through. But it wasn't that bad. I mean, it wasn't that easy, but...
Not super complicated.
But then equally it was a little bit of a headache. So I don't really know, like I said, it was just fated because something pushed me. And there was just something inside me that forced me to just
do it.
With no intention of, oh, this is going to make me a lot of money. Oh, no, this is going to be worth it in the end. I didn't have any of that. There was just something that made me do it. So I did. Decided then, okay, I'm going to do this. I'm going to sell them, and maybe I'll sell 10 bottles. I'll set up an Etsy shop, and maybe I'll sell 10 bottles, and it'll be fun. And another thing I used to think is, if I do want to work in marketing and sales, what a cool thing to put on my CV.
Of course, yeah.
Even if I made $1,000, I mean, I didn't think I'd make that much, but even if I made $1,000, that was wow. And it would have been impressive, if I'd taken that to someone and said, I made this out of nothing, and I went online and I sold this much. I went into my parents' living room and I said, so I kept this all to myself. I didn't tell anyone because, I don't know, I just felt like it was my little project. So I went in, but I had to tell them because, of course, it was going to be done in their house. And they said, what do you mean you're going to sell hair oils? Where? And they said to me, everywhere's shut. It's lockdown.
Yeah.
I said, no, I'm going to sell them on TikTok.
I think if you're not familiar with the app and its potential, of course, you wouldn't know that it's something that could have that
super
reach.
lucrative.
Yeah.
But nobody knew. I didn't know back then that it was... TikTok Shop didn't exist back then.
Yeah.
So no one had actually done it before. So as much as if someone said, now I'm going to start selling hair oils on TikTok, people would probably use me.
That makes sense.
Yeah, they go, oh yeah, look what that girl Hair Syrup did, or look what Made by Mitchell did, or look what so-and-so did. But we didn't
have that reference.
No, there was no reference point. We were stabbing in the dark. Like, nobody knew. I had no idea. But I thought, let's give it a go. And there are, a small group of these UK businesses. Some of them don't trade anymore, but that started at that time, myself obviously being one of them. And yeah, nobody really understands what it was like for us, because it's really different nowadays. You've got TikTok agencies and you've got growth partners and how to sell on TikTok. And we sort of wrote that blueprint, if that makes sense.
So what is the blueprint?
Well, I think a lot of what it is on TikTok is the personal branding, the founder-led, the bring your audience along with you and let them experience the highs and lows. And because we all started from nothing, especially mine, started from absolutely nothing and then has grown. And I think you see that now when I read, or, you see these like social media agencies and they say, how to grow your brand on TikTok. And we, like people like mine, we always find, because it is literally the blueprint of what we did all those years ago. And now, so I think it's kind of a bit of a trend at the moment, which can be a bit annoying actually, because with people like me, it just genuinely happened like that. And I can see people crafting these stories now to make it sound like they want the whole started from the bottom, now we're here. Like you see my TikTok and there's a photo of me. We use it all the time and it's literally me standing. I'm wearing my pajamas, I've got no makeup on and I'm standing, because I never thought the picture would ever go anywhere. It's just for a memory. And it was me with sort of 10 little orders on my parents' conservatory table, where you had, piles of boxes and stuff around me. And and then I show me now, selling in Boots or doing this or doing that, or loads of orders around me. And you can see that kind of trying to be, but it's not the same, because we were doing it really innocently and it was just real, and it was our real life. And we didn't start with, it's different for people starting now because they can see where the potential is. But with us, we just thought, it'll just be this little thing. A little thing that we're doing. That's I think that is the kind of, well, who knows though, it'll probably change. This is why I say to people it's really important to be authentic, because this might be like a trend at the moment, this sort of founder led and, like I said, started from nothing and then you grew, but who knows what it's going to be in a few years. This is why I always say to people, just because it worked for me and a couple of other people, that's our stories, but that might not be the direction that. But I don't care, because I know I'll always be fine, because my story
is authentic and true to you.
So it's never going to trip me up, because if it did change, I don't care anyway, because I'm like, well, this is actually my life.
And you have your audience and you have your loyalty. So what is brand authenticity to you?
Oh my gosh. Well, I don't know if you could probably get a more transparent, authentic brand. We are kind of no rules. People see everything, the behind the scenes, the ups and downs. We are quite responsive with any sort of attention the brand gets, if that's negative, if that's positive, and it's just everywhere all the time. And I think not shying away from things, from criticisms, and also just I think a big part of brand authenticity as well is just accepting that not everyone's going to like you. Not everyone's going to like your brand. And that's okay. You don't have to be everyone's cup of tea. And if you're going to want to make an impact, you're going to ruffle some feathers. You're not going to be for everyone. And don't try to be. Find your audience and people who actually like you. And I think that's probably quite a big part of the authenticity around it. Just slowly over the next few months, I remember making my first £1,000 and
was that a big milestone for you?
Big milestone. Yeah. Because I just didn't think it would happen in a million years.
And you did it all through TikTok?
All through TikTok at this point.
So how were you marketing? How were you spreading the message?
Literally just making TikTok videos, talking about my story, talking about my hair journey.
Did you have a website? Did they then buy it on that?
Yeah. So TikTok Shop didn't exist then. So I had this website. It's called Big Cartel. Obviously I didn't have my Shopify. Oh my gosh, it's like so much every month. It cost me something like £2.99, £3. And I did it myself. Never ever obviously built a website. No idea what I was doing. Yeah. And it was horrendous. I've got photos of what my website used to look like. I took all the photos, the product photos on my iPhone, uploaded them. Yeah, that'll do. And then, yeah, it was just awful. But it worked. And I used that for about a year and a half. And when I see people, right, and they say, oh, you know, I need to raise this much. I'm starting a business. I need this website. I just think, do you really need a $6,000 website when you're first starting out?
So what's your advice to people starting out?
I mean, I don't know. I don't like giving advice because I think that everyone is so different. And I think that everyone's stories and experiences are so different. This is why I find these people who tell you what to do. I'm always a little bit with them because honestly, if you're in a position, I didn't understand anything about business back then either. You know, I didn't know anything. It's not like I registered on Companies House 6 months before launching. I didn't do that because I didn't think it was going to turn into anything. But this is, funnily enough, you know, not saying that I'm going to end up in this position, but that is how a lot of the really big businesses start. And the really that is how a lot of them start, kind of unintentionally.
Organically.
I guess a big part of it for you also was that the focus was always on the product.
Exactly.
You always put so much attention into making it the best thing that it could be.
And you believed its power and what it did.
And everyone knew as well. I wasn't like, it's hard, you know, people see through, especially with things like hair care, they want things that actually work. Yeah. And I wasn't this big conglomerate who's saying, oh, use this and it's going to repair 10 years of damage in 3 minutes. You know, I was just a genuine girl saying, this happened to me. It's probably happened to a lot of you guys. Mm-hmm. And here's how I fixed it. You know, it's just classic. There was a problem. I found a solution. That is how a lot of these big businesses start. Someone has a problem and you offer a solution. And a lot of the time it starts because you had a problem and you had to find your own solution. That's obviously what happened to me.
So business structure. Yeah. Who do you have working for you? What's everyone's roles? How has it grown? Where do you think it's going?
When the business really started taking off was when retailers started reaching out to me. Mm-hmm. And my mum said to me at the time, you know, we had this order that I was just, and I love this part of hair syrup because I had a Zoom meeting with one of my retailers. I don't think I've ever told them this. And I was sitting in the spare room, just completely blagging it. And they said, we're talking about Euro pallets and POs and MOQs. And I was like Googling what is an MOQ, what is a Euro pallet. And they said, you know, do you have a tail lift? Yeah, I got one of them. I'll speak to the team. Didn't know what that was. So I was just completely blagging this and saying, yeah, totally, I can sort that. I'll speak to my ops team. No ops team. No tail lift. Didn't know what I was doing at all. And then my mum, to be fair, brought me back down to reality because I used to say, when I started making a little bit of movement with hair syrup, I say, oh, these are going to be in Boots one day. The products are going to be in Boots. And people genuinely were like, you have lost the plot. What are you talking about? I was just hand pouring these oils in the conservatory, hand labeling them. Yeah, these are going to be in Boots. People just thought I was completely delirious. And then she did bring me back down to reality. She said, Lucy, we have steps. How are you going to do it? It's not possible. We have a narrow driveway. We can't have a lorry. This is not possible. You have to find a premises. So found a premises. So the year before that, I think I did which is still really impressive because I was a student. I did, you know, maybe 120k revenue.
Amazing. That's great.
Yeah, I know. Not bad for a little student side hustle. And then maybe 40k before that or something. But then after months, because I live in a really rural part of West Wales, so we don't have many industrial estates or spaces to run a business out of. So took me months and months and months, and then had a lucky break when it wasn't an industrial estate. It was actually an old charity shop. Came up for rent, and I thought, okay, but it needed renovating. Oh, what a nightmare. But anyway, we got in there, and then I hired 2 members of staff properly, and then the business grew then by almost 1,000% in a year. Less than a year, it's like 8 months. So it went from, you know, that to over 1.4 million, which was insane. So we did that, and then it's just grown year on year, you know, a couple 100% year on year. And now we are a team. There's 16 of us right now. So it's still a pretty small team. We outsource a lot of stuff because, you know, it's hard to find those niche, because of where we live. It's hard to recruit for really niche roles. So I've got an operations guy who manages, you know, we've got a really big warehouse. So he's just literally started last week to manage kind of all of that. And then we've got a lot of digital ops stuff. And we just got people in the warehouse, girls in marketing, social media, and then me. So in terms of the future, I really don't know. We're launching with TikTok Shop Ireland as we speak. Going to be launching with TikTok Shop Europe, TikTok Shop US. So I don't know what direction the business is going to go in. I don't know whether it's going to be that we're going to get another warehouse and we're going to do more stuff in-house in terms of the production, manufacturing, filling, 3PL, or I don't know if it'll end up being flipping the other way and being more of a remote business that's more of a kind of creative hub. I really don't know.
Will you tell us about Dragon's Den?
So I got asked to go on Dragon's Den last year. I didn't really need to raise any cash at the time, but I thought, okay, still good opportunity. So I went on with very little preparation, had no idea what I was getting myself in for. I'd watched it so many times and I was like, yeah, I'll smash this. So I thought, you know, I've got a healthy, sizable business, good gross profit margin. And I thought the brand's cool. They'll like it. I was wrong. They didn't really get it. I was in there for 3.5 hours.
What?
Yeah. So
Standing?
Yeah. So,
what was the main issue, so to speak, that they had? What were they questioning you about?
It was mainly about the longevity of the business. They did not like TikTok Shop at the time. It was 49% of my revenue came directly from TikTok. They didn't like that, which is kind of understandable because look what happened in the US. Sort of understandable, but from my perspective, I think this is the future of business and shopping. I don't think we're ever going to go back to a time where things like TikTok, Meta don't have. We are, you know.
Yeah, the power they do now, yeah.
I think they're all, this is it now. Most of our path to purchase is going to be the biggest factor in that, from my opinion, is social media and what you're seeing online and what people are using online. So I will politely disagree with what they said about it. One of them called it a moment in time or a trend, and they also said to me as well, which was I really respected. They said you don't, and I think you hear a bit of it in the episode. They're like, you don't want someone telling you what to do. You don't seem like the sort of person who's going to want to turn up to a meeting every 4 weeks and explain to your investor what's going on, why is the sales down, why is this happening? And they said, because by the sounds of things, your business is very dependent on ebbs and flows, trends, viral moments, this, that, and the other. And I was like, yeah, do you know what?
Fair. Totally
fairs. Didn't make it any better. Nobody wants to leave there with 6 no's.
Of course.
And it's a weird feeling because, like I said, I wasn't tight. I didn't have my heart set on it or anything. It's not like I needed them. But even getting those no's, it was still a massive blow for me. And walking out empty-handed, you know, that's why I think with Tuka's offer as well, like I said, who's thinking straight after 3.5 hours of being in that situation? But you will just kind of go for anything because you're feeling
get beaten,
and desperate, and you want a bit of
a boost,
boost.
Quite psychological.
It totally psychological, yeah.
Well, Lucie, thank you so much for coming today.
Thank you.